This is another episode of Standup Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. We have a really fun interview for you today. This comic has worked for me for many, many years. In fact, just a couple years ago, did a big fundraiser for me. He is one of the funniest men in America. He is doing cruises, television specials, one-man shows, comedy clubs. He does it all. He's very, very funny. I know have enjoyed him previously on this podcast, but you're going to love him now. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Don Friesen. Don, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's so good to reconnect. I wanted to talk to you because you have so many irons in the fire. You have to be one of the strongest marketing and promotion stand-up comics I know, and extremely funny. You always have good, current, and clean comedy entertainment, and that's such an important thing. Most recently, and the reason we set this call up, is you've been working on a new TV special. Tell my audience a little bit about Don Friesen's TV special.
Okay. Well, it's a 1 hour special. I'm self-producing because I wanted to own it after all these years of doing specials that I have to be real careful about when and where I broadcast them. And, there's just a lot of issues when you don't own it. So I figured I would invest in myself. And, so we did this big production in Seattle.
Up in Seattle, Washington. Were you in a theater or a club?
Yeah, it was a theater, about a 700-seat theater.
Wow.
And, it's a theater I played last year, and we were actually getting set to do it. We had two different options in Orange County that we were pretty close to deciding on. And then I went up and played this event for my friend in this theater, and it was such a great theater for what I want to do. And I've always loved Seattle and Seattle crowds. And I just fell in love with it. And I talked to my producer and said, how hard would it be to bring everybody up to Seattle and do it up there? And, of course he was like, it's a lot of extra motion and money and headaches. And, and he doesn't have any contact out there, but I convinced him to come take a look at it. And we did a scouting trip, and, he looked at me afterwards. He's like, you're right. This theater's perfect for what you want to do. And so we went to work on it. That was last year. Signed the agreement in January, and then spent a few months preparing for it.
Well, doing a 1 hour special, you've already done a couple CDs and a couple other specials. You must constantly be writing to have fresh material for a new 1 hour special. That's incredible, Don. Is that something that comes easy for you or is difficult?
No, I love writing, and it's it's kind of like something that I do anyways. Whether I write it down or not, my brain is always, editing and commenting on what's funny around me, what I see in society, what I see in my daily life. So I just try and capture that in the moment, and then when I sit down to write it out to get it ready to bring it to stage, I just go back to my notes and think of all the funny stuff that has occurred. And so, writing comes naturally. I would love to spend more of my time writing. You spend a lot of time, marketing and traveling and booking flights and all that other stuff. It's not as fun, but I love writing. Yeah.
Well, it's so important in this industry, and I've known you a long time. As I said, you were a regular at my clubs. And what's interesting and smart about your comedy is that you are writing it about what your life is. So, for example, 30 years ago when you're working for me, you were talking about being a dad and being married. And then, 20 years ago, you were talking about computers coming out and the interactions with computers and how challenging life can be and the cost of college as your kids got older. And then more recently, you're talking about what's happening in today. And I think it's that observational humor that makes you so relatable to the audiences. That's really a smart move, Don. What's the name of the special so people can keep an eye out for it?
Okay. So there's a story. It was going to be called Lesson Learned. That was the not for sure, but that was the working title. It's a bit that I do, and it kind of ties into like because a lot of this set is about learning, trying to learn from your mistakes, trying to learn from just learn from life. I'd gone through a divorce after a long marriage, and it was recovering from that and the pandemic, and so Lesson Learned was the title. And there was one bit, it's very memorable, and it's about 5 or 6 minutes long, about wanting to be a ninja warrior, which is true because
kind of a midlife crisis thing, right?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I wouldn't call it that, except I've been having these since I was 5 years old. You know, I always have these. I wanted to play center field for the Giants, you know, until I was 17. So I've always had like kind of out of reach goals that push me to, you know, just to be as good as I can be until I get a hard no from the world, you know,
or your body. So Ninja Warrior, that's a tough thing, and that was in your act, huh?
Yeah. So that was in my act. I do like a handstand on the stool and a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it's a very physical bit. So at the end of the bit, I thought, wouldn't it be cool? I always wanted to end a special with something really unique. So wouldn't it be cool to have a 13-foot warp wall behind me and climb it at the end, have a buzzer, get up at the top and say, thank you, good night, hit the buzzer and do like a 15-foot mic drop.
Oh, God, so that sounds like a great idea. How did it go?
Yeah, it was the big finale that everyone was going to remember. So we, my producers kind of fought me on this because they're like, I don't know, the wall won't fit in there, so we can't rent a wall, so we have to build one especially for it. And it was this whole big production, but I fought to keep it in there. And there was all kinds of logistical problems. But at the end of the day, we did it. You know, we got it in there.
Oh, how
so we're
cool.
At the theater. Yeah, we're at the theater and we're taping. We have 3 hours before the show, about 2 hours before people start filing in. We bring out the wall and we're setting up the lighting and the blocking for rehearsal to see how this is actually going to work on camera. And I run up the wall and I'm wearing my dress shoes because I'm wearing what I'm going to wear during the show, which is not really a good idea for a warped wall, come to find out. But
oh no, what happened?
And the wall that they built, I've done it at the Ninja Warrior gym many times. It's not even that hard. You know, I picked the height that I can easily do. So, but the wall at the gym and the one on the show has a certain ramp up kind of a slope degree. Well, the one they had to build to fit in the theater was sloped up like way steeper. It was almost straight up and it was oververt. And so between that and the shoes and not stretching, I don't know what happened, but I started running up the wall and heard this loud pop. I thought, oh man, I broke the wall. And about 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh no, I popped my Achilles.
Oh, that's so painful. Don, you ripped your Achilles trying to do the rehearsal?
Yeah, right before the show. It was unbelievable.
Wow, did you have to cancel?
No, there's no way we were canceling. I got my house investment in that special, and everybody's there. You know, we've been there all week setting everything up, and we have 700 people coming in.
Yeah, but I've had friends that rip their Achilles. That's not only really painful; it's almost impossible to walk for days, let alone hours. Yeah. So it was similar. So we hustled over to the closest urgent care, and so there's more to the story. You know Jill, my ex-wife, right? Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting along well now. We didn't obviously at the end of the divorce, the last couple of years, or even the first year and a half after the divorce. But now we're getting along really well. So she is the co-investor, co-producer. She's in for half the investment.
Wow.
And she's also a nurse. And she was doing catering, setting all that stuff up because she's got a background in that. So she hustles me over with Flex, my son, to the ER. So I'm sitting in the ER basically with my ex-wife and and my son and a torn Achilles and just waiting to get served. And then my fiance
wait a minute, Don. You have a fiance now?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's a So that's another whole tangent. So,
we'll have to have another conversation, but right now you're in an emergency room with your ex-wife and son with a torn Achilles, and the audience is starting to arrive at the theater. My gosh, what happened?
well, okay. So my fiance says, well, I got to come down. So she comes down. And so now it's a waiting game because apparently, I'm in the waiting room. Some guy's like, got a gash in his head. Some woman's moaning like she's giving birth. But I'm like, yeah. But I have a show, you guys. And so,
show must go on.
Yeah. So this is LA. They would understand that, I think. But in Seattle, they're like, we have a system here. I'm like, I know. But is there anything? I need to know, what can I do? What can't I do? That's all I need to know. We didn't have time for an MRI. They assessed it as a torn Achilles, which obviously when I heard the pop, I knew that's what it was. And, basically they gave me this real small splint that was a little bit helpful, but they said, you shouldn't put any weight on it. I'm like, yeah, but what if I stand on the other foot? They're like, the nurse was kind of irritated at my questions. I'm like, you don't understand. You didn't understand what all went into this.
Right. No, she doesn't understand show business, the investment, the timing. So you basically wrapped it and you splinted and wrapped it, and you ended up going on the show. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I came out in crutches, and the thought was that I would probably sit down the whole show, or most of it. So I came out on crutches.
I'm just going to interrupt briefly and let the audience know that you on crutches and you sitting for a show is not you. You're very animated. You're very, you engage the audience by bringing them into the stories, and part of that is your physicality. So for you to be restrained had to have been an additional challenge. Wow, Don, I can't believe it. How did it go?
Well, so my thought was, as I was going up, I'm like, I'm going to play it by ear with the crutches and with standing. And I had to change a couple bits in my mind while I was in makeup and while I were changing clothes and trying to figure stuff out, and which shirt's going to fit and all this stuff that we were working on.
Talk about a little last minute drama. Wow.
Yeah, it was. So I was just trying to just be chill. Just at the end of the day, I thought, okay, I'm going to have fun. If I have a fun show, worst case scenario, the audio will come out great, and I'll play it on Sirius XM forever, and I'll make my money back that way. So that's my thought is just have fun, hit your beats. But I also I had to think how am I going to explain this? What am I going to tell the audience? So I kind of came up with in my mind a rough idea of what to say, and I figured when I get out there it'll come out right. It mostly did, actually. I immediately, as you walk out on stage, all of a sudden the adrenaline kicks in, and I'm like, I had to take the crutches right off the bat, and I ended up standing the whole show just limping.
Well, I bet the audience though was empathetic, and I know that once you got into your material, you're so funny. And I was going to ask if the adrenaline of being on stage would help. I'm imagine that is something that would really be supportive along with the tape and the splint to get you through the show. How long was the recording?
The first cut is 64 minutes.
So you were on stage for 65 minutes on a torn Achilles, trying to be funny. Wow.
Yeah.
Not putting a little pressure on yourself, huh, Don?
Yeah. But it was fun. The show just killed. It really killed. And,
good. And
yeah.
Now you said the working title was Lessons Learned.
Oh.
Is it now the Achilles tragedy or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out my Achilles heel is my Achilles heel. But no. Well, okay, so we had two titles, and I think so. The first one that we came up with was American Injured Warrior, which is funny.
Yeah.
But there was some talk on the second pass that a lot of people don't know that show, and they might think it was a military thing, or it might be misleading title. but Breaka Leg is what we're going
It's so
with.
funny because that's the first thing I thought of for everybody listening in show business. You don't ever wish somebody luck before they go on stage. You say break a leg. It's a way to share luck. And I think that's a perfect title, Break a Leg comedy special starring Don Friesen. Wow. Well, the audience is going to have to look for that. But what's crazy, and I'm going to take it to the next step. So you do this amazing show, you record it, it's coming out, or it's out as a special, but you have this torn Achilles. Did you give it time to heal? Because according to your calendar, you've got a series of gigs on cruise ships coming up.
Yeah, I've already done several. Yeah, I've been, the last 3 weeks I've been on 10 flights. I was just counting. Crazy. Yeah, no, it's the thing about comedy is, and I love what I do, but there is no PTO. You know?
no paid time off or injury coverage, right?
No, we have SOL. So
shit out of luck, exactly. Well, so you're still performing. How's your Achilles? How's your foot doing?
Well, that's a whole nother.
You're not re-injuring it over and over, are you?
I'm still dealing with the health insurance company. So I'm normally very healthy. I never go to the doctor. You know, physical once a year, maybe once a year or every other year. I go in for a little chest cold or something. But so I got the cheapest possible insurance, which is not all that cheap. Boy, you really get what you pay for.
Well, you've been
I hope
through.
You don't have any sponsors. Nobody ever go with LA Care ever.
Well, you've had some challenges, so let's recap real quick. You have put all your money in your fiance and your ex-wife, and everybody's involved in this 1 hour special recording. You get injured. You're able to complete the recording, which is just entertainment miracle right there. But you still have to make a living. So you're out doing cruise ships week after week, which means flying, getting on and off a boat. You're not giving your ankle much time to heal. And then I also realize, don't you also have a second dry bar special coming up? Is that still going to happen?
Oh, no, that's actually just a concert. That's not a taping.
Oh, okay. You're doing a dry bar concert.
It's just a best of, yeah, exactly. They do shows with dry bar comedians, and they rotate them through.
Well,
and,
that gives us a chance to plug that if anybody wants to go to Dry Bar Comedy, which is the place to watch comedy sets, Don Friesen has one of the funniest, cleanest sets on there. And I thought maybe they were having you back, but they're putting together concerts with the best of, and it's no surprise you're there. Are they aware that you're coming in as an injured warrior?
I haven't brought it up yet. I'm not telling anybody that's already on the books,
Right. You just show up and do your work.
I will tell people if it's a corporate event where they're spending, a ton of money on me, I'll give full disclosure, before they book me. But whoever's on the books just finds out when I get there. But the show's been going great. They really have.
Well, it goes without saying, Don. Yeah, you're so funny, and you're writing consistently. You are bringing it to the audiences. So whether you're on crutches or sitting or standing, I have no doubt that you're bringing the funny. But it is amazing that as an injured, 50-ish kind of guy, you're completing specials, you're doing cruises, you're doing concerts for Dry Bar. I know you still slip a club in here and there. That is real dedication to your art form, or just a little crazy.
Well, it's also the only thing I'm good at, and it's what pays the bills. But I like to think I do it out of love, and I do. But I also, when it comes down to it, if I didn't love it, I would still need to do it. But thank God I do love what I do.
Right, and it is also a effort of necessity because, as you mentioned, there's no paid time off. When you're an independent contractor, which every stand-up comic is, you're the product. You're the money maker. So if you take a week off or take a 2-week vacation, it's more than the cost of the vacation. You're taking yourself out of the income producing side of your career. And that is challenging. And to get this kind of injury and have it affect all these things, I mean, you're doing so much, Don. You've always been a high energy, incredible entertainer, but you are pushing the envelope, doing it while injured. Congrats on getting through all that. What's the prognosis for healing?
Well, again, we started when you asked about when I started going off with a health insurance company. I am still waiting. I have an appointment later today. I'm still waiting for the referral to the specialist. I've spent the last few weeks just on the phone nonstop with all these different branches of my insurance company, and nobody knows anything about anybody else. It's just a cluster.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. That is so frustrating. So you haven't actually had a chance to have a professional work with you on what it's going to take to heal. You realize, though, the Achilles tendon tends to heal itself, and the secret is to not use it and keep it immobile, which you've blown totally out of the water. But these 3 or 4 weeks since this happened, you are healing. So let's hope that when you finally get in front of the experts, they're going to tell you that, you've already been through the hard part and it's going to get better. Now, you're not slowing down, though, because also according to your calendar, and by the way, is it donfriesen.com?
Yes.
So anybody that wants to maybe book Don or find out more, because again, he's one of the funniest comics. In fact, at the end of this interview, I'm going to share a little bit of your comedy, Don. But if anyone's interested, go to donfriesen.com. You can find out where he's performing and about the special and everything else. But according to your calendar, you also have a trip up to Canada. Are you doing a tour?
It's just flying up and back for cruises.
Oh, it's tied in with the cruises. I thought maybe you were hitting some of the clubs up there.
No. I did a Canadian tour a couple of years ago, and that was a blast. But this is just a cruise ship.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I feel better because at least on a cruise ship, you don't have to, it's a little easier getting on and off stage. You don't have to quite do as much. So, Don, tell the audience, you're so good at marketing yourself. You have the special out. You're appearing on these cruise ships. What exciting things are we looking forward to later this year in 2025?
Well, interesting. So, like I said, we're hoping to sell this to Netflix. That's the main goal. If not, we'll go down the line, to the next best suitor and so on. But it really came out great. So I think we're in pretty good shape on that.
Yeah, so everybody should be looking for Breaka Leg comedy special starring Don Friesen. That's what we're going with right now. Yeah.
So I'm waiting. I'm told by some optometric or ophthalmologist. Sorry, I don't know my doctors very well. Ophthalmologists who have seen me at the show, and there's been a few who've seen me in the last couple of weeks, and the assessment generally is that if I want a full recovery, I'm probably going to need surgery. So maybe 6 to 9 months at least. But I'm hoping this time next year to be going back and trying out for Ninja Warrior. I really want to do it.
Well, okay. I think we could now certifiably say that you're crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, just to be able to complete the wall climb would be enough.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to get this out there. I'm working on my next hour. I want to see what it's going to take to get a theater tour going. I'd love to start touring the country in mid-sized theaters and maybe work my way up. But that's my main goal: theaters and corporate, and play a few of my favorite clubs and try and just have a balance of life.
Yeah, keep making a living at the art form you love, stand-up comedy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share a little bit of material by the very funny Don Friesen, but look for his Breaka Leg special. It's out there somewhere. He's also done other specials and CDs and DVDs. Also, he's working a lot of cruise ships. He does corporate work. If you're out there and you're trying to entertain your staff, there's nobody funnier than Don Friesen. And just incredible that you have so much going on in your life. But for my audience and me, I just want to say fast recovery. Try not to push it too much and get yourself back to a healed position and screw the insurance companies and survive and get back to walking despite them.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. It's always great talking to you, Scott.
Well, it's great to catch up and find out all the exciting adventures that Don Friesen's going through. We'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, stay with me right now. We're going to share a little bit of stand-up comedy by Don Friesen. Don, always great to have you on the podcast. Really get well soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, maybe that's a backup. Get well soon.
That'll be the follow-up to Breaka Leg. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's some comedy by Don Friesen.
My kids think I'm an old man because I can never remember anything, but it's because my brain is full of passwords. And fragments of passwords, because every site's got different rules. You got to have 2 P's and upside down Q. Okay, sorry. And a number and a capital and a symbol. Oh, okay. And don't write it down. No, I got it up here. Number, symbol, capital. Okay. They give you the worst advice. Just name it after a childhood pet. Oh, well, that would be great if I ever had a dog named P3 _ capital Y2055. My neighbors would think you're nuts, huh? P3 _ capital Y. Underscore. So I can never remember the password. First thing I look for in every page is forgot password. Click. I don't even guess. No waiting, no guessing. Just boom, I'm there. I pre-forgot. They're like, we'll help you retrieve your password. What's your username? Oh, you don't know either, huh? Would you like a hint? Yeah. I'd love a hint, right? Or you could just tell me. That'd be really cool. You want the hint because you think it's going to be a helpful hint, right? Because it's a hint that you wrote at some point in your life. But I don't know, because it comes back like, who's your 3rd grade teacher? Well, you got a hint for the hint? You got a mother's maiden name back there? I'm all over that, man. I can't believe that's the big clue I left for future me. Was I playing a practical joke on myself? Wait, ask me who my 3rd grade teacher is. I'll know what it means. Am I crazy? I just got punked by previous me. So I'm guessing teacher names, and they're wrong. Every single one's wrong. After about 5 wrong guesses, you start to doubt yourself. Like, maybe I'm not who I think I am. I wouldn't let me in either, man. It sucks when some idiot's trying to get in your account and it turns out it's you. I don't even care if they hack in my account. Just tell me how you did it. Hold the door open. I will follow you in, man. While you're in there, can you show me how to change my password hint? I feel like anybody could get in my account except me. I can't prove I'm me. I'm like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. Oh, Mary, don't you recognize me? It's me, George. That's my dog right there, P3 _ Come here, boy. Sometimes you never do get in. You ever ditch the whole profile altogether, start over from scratch. New user. You gotta convince him I'm a whole different person. I don't know who that other idiot was. What a clown, huh? What's his deal? And this time I'm putting in the easy password. I thought they rejected my password. They said it was weak. They're like, it's too easy. Anybody could get that. Well, you'd be surprised. Pretty sure I'm gonna struggle with it. think weak means you can remember it. They want you to do a strong password, like completely unrememberable. That's what it is. Even if you get that far, you're still not there. On some of the sites, you got to do one more step. You guys know what that is, right? It's the squiggly letter test. Are you kidding me, man? Those are not letters. They're blobs on top of other blobs. I'm being psychoanalyzed. They know it. They're all wavy and drug trippy. I'm an O, but I might be an A.
Well, that was my good friend Don Friesen. You can hear how funny he is. Man, what a crazy story. So keep an eye out for his special. Breaka Leg is the now current title. We'll see. And it should be out by the time this is launched. So hopefully you can find it. But just go to donfriesen.com. There's all kinds of other great comedy sets that you can find and products that you can look into. Very funny guy. Hey, it was great to have him on the show and hear about his special and working the cruises. You, the audience, thank you for being with us today. We'll be back next week with another great show. Hey, thanks for listening. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.